Meta and Mark Zuckerberg are going to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. We saw today that they've been advised to put some of their corporate treasury into Bitcoin, and this is going to happen. And I think there's a few reasons why. Firstly, we're seeing this radical rebrand from Mark Zuckerberg. Recently, he went on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. He's got this new look, new vibe going on, and he's talked about how he wants to make Facebook and Instagram free speech platforms just like X. Now, Facebook and Instagram were notorious for their censorship and their corporate bogus fact checkers, especially during the 2020 election and then throughout the Biden regime. And Mark Zuckerberg is trying to rebuild his image. And whether you think this is authentic or this is merely for public appearances as we go into the Trump administration, either way, this is something that's going on. Alongside that, there's clearly been some growth or desire for change on a personal level. He's training jujitsu, he's eating meat, he's farming, talking about choking chickens himself and eating the meat from the chicken that he killed, right? He's clearly trying to live a more quote unquote based lifestyle, which is something that would align with the Bitcoin ethos. He's brought Dana White onto the staff at Meta. Dana White notoriously does not care what anybody thinks or says about him. He's very much pro free speech. He'll say whatever he wants. He doesn't care. And Mark Zuckerberg has brought that persona onto his team. I think that's a great thing. And I think it's very telling of this change that he's trying to bring to Meta as a business. And then Mark Zuckerberg, of course, has two goats named Bitcoin and Max, Bitcoin maximalist. So clearly on a personal level, he most likely holds Bitcoin. Now, could this actually happen? Yes, it could. Because Mark Zuckerberg owns 61% of the voting power within Meta. So he owns 344.5 million Class B shares, which are they have 10x the voting power of the Class A shares. So if you Google top Meta shareholders, you'll see Mark Zuckerberg only has 13% of the outstanding shares, but the majority of that is Class B, which gives him more voting power than, say, BlackRock or some of the institutional shareholders within the business. So he has, on a personal level, it would fit his persona to acquire Bitcoin. And then he has the power within the company to actually execute. This is one of the reasons that MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor were able to get a huge leg up on other billion-dollar businesses because Michael Saylor always had controlling shares of the company. He can make decisions when you have over 51% of the power within the company. You can make things happen. Mark Zuckerberg has that with Meta. Now, how much Bitcoin could they actually acquire? Well, when you look at their balance sheet, they have roughly 41.8 billion in cash and cash equivalents, short-term treasuries. So let's say, they're likely not going to do the micro strategy play where they go all in, borrow, issue convertible notes, convert all of their cash holdings into Bitcoin. But let's go with a conservative low bar estimate and let's say 5%. 5% of 41 billion is 2 billion, 50 million. And assuming they acquire Bitcoin at $100,000 per coin, we're at 96 right now, that would give them 22,500 Bitcoin. 22,500 Bitcoin, roughly $2 billion worth. And if you look at the list of Bitcoin treasuries, that would put them number 3 right away. They could jump everyone and become number 3 right under MicroStrategy and Marathon Digital. So Meta, if you work at Meta, you're a C-suite there and you're listening to this, you need to take action. You need to acquire Bitcoin. Mark Zuckerberg, if you're listening, I know you're probably thinking about it. Go ahead and pull the trigger because you can jump the corporate leaderboards very quickly. And then the last point I'll add here is Mark Zuckerberg's two rivals, the Winklevoss twins, of course, run Gemini, which is one of the largest United States-based Bitcoin and crypto exchanges. If these are your rivals, you don't want to let them acquire more Bitcoin than you, because that is going to be the new monetary digital reserve asset of the entire world. You want to get a bigger stake in it than your two rivals. And so I think that could be an underlying personal reason as to why Mark Zuckerberg would make this Bitcoin play.